Hey Capricorn, it's Rebecca from Being Human Tarot here with your November 2018 reading. This month I'm reading with the Illus Tarot, which the box is right here. I'll link in the description if you're interested. It's a really fun deck where all of the majors are represented by like 90s pop culture icons. So if you also grew up as a child of the 90s, you may find that particularly exciting this month. Oh, yes. Disclaimer about this deck, though, is that the minors are all represented very literally. So if you draw the Five of Cups, it's 5 cups without any other context or illustration. So for the purposes of reading with it, I'll be kind of reverting to using Smith-Rider-Waite meanings for the minors because it's not very easy to intuitively read with such literal minors. I am sticking with the same 3-card spread that I have in past months, where the first card indicates what to focus on this month, the second card indicates what to set aside for the month, and the third card indicates just an additional consideration for the month. So, to get into your reading for November, for your focus of the month, you drew the 9 of Pentacles, which actually another sign also drew as their focus, and I can't remember which at this point, but I kind of gave my little spiel that I'll also give to you, that this is one of my favorite cards in all of tarot, because in Smith-Rider-Waite it's depicted by this woman who's kind of out in a garden in a luxurious gown, and she's holding like a hand up and she's got a falcon perched on her hand. I lived with a parrot for like the past 12 years, and so I've always just kind of like personally identified with this card. It's a great card. You're also an earth sign, Cap, so I know that Pentacles are comfy for you. I know that you like living in your stability and, financial abundance, and that's really kind of what this card is showing. It's all about independence, feeling comfortable. So as I said in the other video, as a focus for the month, it really makes sense if it's a time for you to kind of be resting a bit. Also, because Capricorns can be workaholics, don't forget to take the time for yourself to, reap the benefits of all of your hard work. We all need to do that. Also, of course, we all can't always do that, depending on our financial situations and whatnot. But there are also smaller things that we can do for ourselves to still kind of like, on like a tiny scale, emulate the 9 of Pentacles. So even if it's just like treating yourself to going to the movies instead of taking on like a freelance project or something like that, or instead of working like 3 extra hours one night, if you can, like, take the time for yourself this month to ease back on all the work. Remember kind of the reasons why we work, if you're having a hard time seeing that, as I know that Capricorns can. For your set aside for the month, you drew the Ace of Wands, which aces, of course, or maybe not of course, but if you're not super versed in tarot, but aces are all about beginnings. And for the Ace of Wands in particular, we're talking about fire signs. So we're looking at the beginnings of sort of like passionate pet projects, creativity, sexuality. So as a beginning, I mean, like as this is great. So it could be, but it's in your position of set aside, which can be confusing when you pull like a really great card and it's your position of set aside for that month. But it's not saying that you can't have this ace, you can't experience like its greatness and its excitement. It's just saying that right now, if you're having like this great idea, if you're just like, oh, I feel so passionate about learning to do this, you know, if some kind of self-expression or artistic form of expression, if you're kind of like, you know what, I finally want to make that jump and like do this thing that I've always been wanting to do. It's not to say don't do this thing. It's just saying that this month might not be the right time for it. Because you're trying, the cards want you to kind of chill this month, right? So, well, it's great that you're so hardworking and that even in the time that you would be relaxing and kind of just taking a moment, you're still, you know, in this mind space. You're like, also, but like now I could do that. Maybe don't just yet. Because even though this is kind of like a fun new thing, it's not like this is going to feel taxing. You just want to not overwhelm yourself so much. The cards want you to slow down. For your additional consideration, you drew Lauryn Hill as the Hierophant. So there you can see. I'm glad so far everyone has drawn at least one major, which I hope will continue happening purely for the selfish reasons of these are such great looking illustrations, and I would hate for a sign to not get to see one for themselves for the month. But the Hierophant is often about going back to focus on learning in some kind of like formalized setting. So that could be what you'll eventually need to do for this interest that you have, this new project or passion that you want to kind of kick off with the Ace of Wands. So it could be that will require some additional education, that you can't just kind of wing it and try it on your own. You're going to have to go back to school, take a workshop, that kind of thing. And so have this in the back of your mind. So again, even though this is in the set aside and it's not the perfect time right now for it, you don't want to be like, oh, well, not the passion for me. It's not that at all. And I don't think that you're at any risk of doing that, Capricorn, anyway. So, but yeah, just kind of think of these together for maybe next month or in the horizon, maybe even longer term than that, because maybe you're wanting to go back to like higher education kind of school, which would require application time and all of that stuff, potentially even more testing, that kind of stuff. So that's your reading for the month. If you liked it, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I upload this suite of videos for all 12 signs before the 1st of every month. And if you hit the bell icon next to subscribe, you'll be automatically notified when I do that, so you won't have to keep checking in to see if they're there. I also have been trying to kind of like keep it fresh with different decks. I buy too many decks. I really should stop and kind of sit with them more and get more experience with each of them. But hopefully, one benefit of this addiction is that you're getting to see some varying readings. And so that's it for this month. I'm going to pause this and pan down so that you can see your 3 cards together, because visually I find that very helpful. It's not like if we were in person doing a reading, you would get to kind of look at them for a while. So that's it for November. Bye, Cap. So as you can see, You've got your focus of the Nine of Pentacles, set aside of the Ace of Wands, and additional consideration of the Hierophant. Thanks for tuning in.